Hello, welcome to Children of the Circumcision. Today with our Bible reading. I'm Cleo, and today we're going to be reading we're going to continue our reading of Genesis. Today we're going to be starting at Genesis 18. And just to give a brief overview where we left off last time, we saw the ending of the flood, Noah and his family repopulating the earth, his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the nations of which came out of them. Shem, the Shemitic peoples, people that we would typically deem to be in the Middle East during present times. Ham, the father of the Hamites. You can think Egyptians, Philistines, Canaanites, the people who originally dwelled in the land of Israel, as well as many of the countries of which we now, that inhabit the continent that we now call Africa, as well as Japheth, the oldest brother being father of the Gentiles. So you can think of them as your Europeans, Roman, or people of Roman and Greek descent, as well as just the Chaldeans, as well as the Bible, like you can think of Nebuchadnezzar and the Persians as well, and so on and so forth. So we get to see them populate the world. We get to see how the Lord split them up at the Tower of Babel using language, and we get to see the beginnings of Abram, or who later is called Abraham, who is the father of our faith, and the covenant the Lord gave him, and how the Lord promised that covenant to come through his people, that would eventually stem out of Abraham, and the Lord promising that that lineage would come through not his firstborn, technically son Ishmael, who was born from Hagar, but Isaac, who was born through Sarah, as the Lord had promised. But all that being said, since today is the 5th, we will be starting our reading with Proverbs 5. Without further ado, we can go ahead and get started there. Proverbs 5 and verse 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. We've so far read Proverbs 3 and 4 the last few times, but wisdom is a very large part of Proverbs. Proverbs was written by Solomon, the son of David, and he was renowned for his wisdom, which the Lord gave him because Solomon asked for it. But Solomon was renowned for his wisdom, so the book of Proverbs spends a lot of time talking about wisdom, talking about instruction, talking about the law and the commandments of the Lord. Because really, as far as the book is concerned, they're all really the same thing. The law of the Lord, the word of God, like really being the book itself is wisdom. With that being said, my son, attend unto my listen to my words, and bow thine ear to my understanding. So listen to what I am telling you. Like, listen to the wisdom of which I am giving you, like essentially this word. That thou mayest regard our discretion. Discretion meaning is wisdom, but really good judgment. So you can have good judgment, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. So basically, so you can be smart, wise, and make the right decisions when you need them. So your lips keep knowledge, so you know what to say and you know what to do. And he's giving a reason for it in verse 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. So here, Solomon starts talking about the strange woman. And the strange woman is both metaphorical and literal. The strange woman could be a literal woman, or even just a literal person in general, where they are trying to deceive you. Like, their words are sweet as a honeycomb, his mouth is as smoother than oil, so they speak very well, and they're very enticing, but their end is bitter as wormwood, meaning it's sharp as a two-edged sword. So, but the end of their ways is destruction, and that's what they'll lead you to as well. So it's both can be a literal person as well as spiritually. Spiritually, you can be drawn away by the strange woman representing your lust, or even, again, a physical person, but instead of drawing you to a physical destruction, drawing you to a spiritual destruction. Verse 5. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. That's her end, and that is where she, again, being both literal and metaphorical, will take you. 6. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, so you get drawn to death with her. Her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. So she will deceive you and pull you away. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. So listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying good discretion, good wisdom for you, so you aren't dragged away. Again, both physically and spiritually. Verse 8. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. So stay away from her. Again, whether that be metaphysically, spiritually, like false doctrine, or literally a strange woman, or just strange person in general who's going to draw you away. So stay away from her. As the book also puts it, don't be unequally yoked with the wicked. It has the same meaning, where you shouldn't be associating yourselves with those who are wicked, because they ultimately will draw you away. How can two walk together lest they be agreed? In the same way, you can be drawn away by your own lust. And that's what James even goes to and say, a man sins because of the lust of his own heart, because he desires it. Verse 9. Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. You'll be destroyed. You'll lose your honor, the righteousness of God. What the Lord would have given you, you'll lose. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. You ultimately will regret your decision, because you will be destroyed. Again, whether in this life or in the next one. And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof? And that's what you'll say. Like, I had instruction. I had the word of God. It was given to me. And I was taught the ways of life, as the book also puts it. But I rejected instruction. I hated it. And this is where it ended me up. Like, this is how I ended up because of it. And verse 13. And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. I did wickedness. I would not listen, nor would I obey the word of the Lord. Again, just sort of like reflecting, like this is you potentially in the future, like this is how you will come to regret your actions. Verse 15, drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thine fountains be the spurs of rod, and the rivers of waters in the street. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. So keep the waters throughout the book. Many a time it means the Spirit or the Word of God. Even here, it can be both that, but also really talking about your own wellness as well. You keep the Word of God. It should be within you, and you should keep it to yourself, or keep it within yourself, rather. But also, it is your responsibility, is your wealth. Like as he puts it, drink waters out of thine own cistern, running waters out of thine own well. So the word which I have given you, which you have, stick to it. So again, she's trying to draw you away, right? Her feet go down to death, and her steps take hold on hell. Let thine fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the street. So, like, keep to it. Let them grow well. Like, have an abundance in what the Lord has given you, being like His Word. So, essentially saying, dwell in the Word of God. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. So don't forsake it. What the Lord has given you, don't forsake it for others. Or even, like it says even a few verses before, lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. Which is going back to that point. Hey, do well, keep this knowledge and instruction, and don't give your wealth unto others. So you keep your wealth. 18. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. This can even go further into something that we saw in Proverbs 4, with wisdom being referred to as a she, where wisdom is like spiritually, like oftentimes throughout the book referred to as, especially within Proverbs, as a she. So rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Essentially, what the Lord has given you, what you've had from the beginning, stay with that, the word of God. So, but don't go away unto, again, the strange woman. So don't forsake what you had for what is essentially bad, for, as the book also puts it, for what is not food or what is not bread. 19. Let her be, verse 20, rather. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Right? You have this good here. Why would you go to something else? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. So your own sins and the sinner's own sins will destroy them. The wicked's own wickedness will be to their own downfall. And he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. So Proverbs 5 fully focuses on the idea of, hey, you've been given instruction, you've been given wisdom through this word of God, so do not forsake it. And it's using the sort of metaphor, again, it also can be literal, of strange woman to say, well, don't let someone else or let anything else really deter you from this instruction and wisdom which you have been given. Because ultimately, if you do, you will only face destruction. And you will face destruction because of your own actions. As it puts it, holden with the cords of his own sin. Your own sins and your own decisions will be what ultimately leads to your downfall. But all that being said, Proverbs 5, wonderful chapter. But with that, we can go ahead and move on to today's reading, starting with Genesis 18. Well, here, chapter 18, we just came off of the Lord, again, promising Abraham that he will fulfill his covenant with him. He gave him circumcision as a sign of his covenant. And he even went further to say, Ishmael, the son, again, born from Hagar, was not the son that the Lord was really promising to Abraham, and that son would be named Isaac, and he would come from Sarai, now Sarah, his wife. With that being said, we can go ahead and get started with chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. So now, like, 3 men have come to Abraham when he's staying in the plains of Mamre. So he's in the promised land, or a part of it. And like we'll see as we continue to read, that these aren't just regular men, that they are 2 angels, and really the other one being the Lord. Verse 4, Let a little water, I pray, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I'll fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the earth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. So they're preparing food for them. She's making fine meals. She's making bread. Abraham got a young man to basically prepare a calf. Like, so when he says to dress it, he's basically cooking it. At 8. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed and set before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return to thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. So here it's even reiterating the same thing that the Lord said to him, really in chapter 17. Sarah is going to have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age. You can see in the previous chapter that Abraham was 99 and Sarah was like 89. So they're both very old at this point. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women, so she's no longer having a period. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord being old also, how can I have a kid when I'm this old? And the Lord said unto Abraham, like very clear, the Lord said unto this is who is speaking. So it's the Lord coming as a man, as well as these two other people who are also we'll see are angels. Verse 13. And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child, which am of old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. She's like, I didn't do that. Well, she did. She was like, she's scared. I didn't do that. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. He's God. He said, I know you laughed. But you're going to have the kid. 16. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. So now they're heading over towards Sodom. Remember, Lot is over there. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Again, this even goes back to part of the covenant the Lord gave him, saying you'll have children as numerous as the stars, as plentiful as the dust of the earth, where that wasn't necessarily talking about his physical offspring, like the physical children of Israel, but the spirit, as the New Testament puts it, the spiritual children of Israel, those who serve God and will be raised as his saints. Again, that's why even the kingdom is called Abraham's bosom. The people who follow after the faith of Abraham, that's why he's called the father of our faith, they are the children of Abraham, as Jesus puts it. But even here, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him, and that is really even there talking about Christ himself. Christ, through who everyone, all nations, whether Israel, Gentile, Hamite, or anything else, can and do receive salvation. So, and he came through Israel. He came as a Jew, as a man from the tribe of Judah. So directly through Abraham, all the earth was blessed, and through Jesus. Which is even an interesting thing here, with the beginning part of Genesis, that he refers to so many things that only happened so much later. But even then, verse 19. So the Lord's like, hey, he's gonna do these great things. So what I plan on doing, I can't hide from him. Verse 19. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which is come unto me. And if not, I will know. So the Lord's like, hey, this Sodom and Gomorrah, again, that's where Lot lives, is so wicked that I need to do something about it. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna see if, like, from the cry of the sea, I'm gonna see if it's as wicked as I think it is, as I almost hear it to be, and I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. So the other two guys leave, but Abraham's still talking to the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, "Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?" So Abraham's like, "Well, wait. So you're going to destroy the whole place, but what if there are righteous people there? Really, being Lot. What if there's some righteous people there? You're going to kill them with the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked." You're like, "Lord, I know you won't kill the righteous with the wicked." So Lord, surely not. "And that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" And the Lord said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sake." So if I find 50 righteous people in the entire city, I won't kill anyone. I will spare the entire city if I can find 50 righteous people. And Abraham answered and said, "Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord." Says, "Hey, Lord, I still want to say something to you, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure, there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? So you say, if there are only 45, what if they're you're 5 short of 50? Will you destroy it then? And he said, being the Lord, "If I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy." It's like, "I won't destroy it then either." And he spake unto him yet again, and said, "Peradventure, there be 40 found there." And he said, "I will not do it for 40's sake." So really, Abraham's now basically trying to haggle the number. Like, okay, for 50, will you do it? Well, what if you lose? You don't have 50. You only have 45. So, well, we'll do it for 45. Okay, well, what about 40? So, again, Lot is there, and Abraham knows this. So he's trying to do his best with the Lord to negotiate it down. Verse 30. And he said to him, "Oh, let not the Lord be angry." He said, "Lord, don't be mad at me. And I will speak. Peradventure there shall 30 be found there." He said, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." So he said, "What about 30? He's like, "I won't do it for that." He said, "Behold, now I've taken it upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it for 20's sake." He said, "Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it for 10's sake." So Abraham was able to haggle the Lord all the way down to 10 people. He said, if there are 10 righteous there, I won't destroy any of them. If there are 10 righteous there. Verse 33. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left, communing with Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place. So now the Lord has left and Abraham is going back home. So he's negotiating. If they can find 10 righteous people, the entire city will be spared. So let's go ahead and see what ends up happening. Genesis 19 and verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom and Even. Again, the 2 who had left, again, they weren't many. We know at least one of those 3 was the Lord, and those 2 that left and went to Sodom, here it clearly said they were angels, right? So there's 2 angels in the Lord, but the point being, the Lord's again sent them on this mission where I'm seeing what's going on in Sodom. So the 2 angels, there came 2 angels to Sodom and Eve, came to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. So now immediately upon them really coming into Sodom, Lot sees them and immediately bows himself to them the same way we saw Abraham do to the 3 of them, the 2 angels and the Lord before. And he said, "Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways." And they said, "Nay, but we will abide in the street all night." So Lot's like, "Hey, wait, you two, hey, come up to my house." The same way as even really Abraham was like, hey, come, let me give you something to eat. Hey, we can make some bread for you. I can give you some butter, some honey, some milk. I get that guy to dress a calf up for you. You can eat good. And Lot say, "Hey, come to my house." And they're like, no, we'll tarry in the street. Because remember, they're here looking for 10 righteous, right? And he pressed upon them greatly, but he's like, no, please, please come. And they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. So he's doing the same thing Abraham did, right? Even showing the parallel. Of what kind of man Lot was, right? Lot himself was a righteous man. Verse 4, but before they lay down, so even before they've eaten, but before they even get a chance to lay down or try to go to sleep, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. So all the men of, before, again, they get a chance to rest, all the men of Sodom gathered themselves to Lot's house. Let's see why in verse 5. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. Now, in the Bible, when it says we want to know someone, or someone knew someone, there is this meaning of which we still have today, of they physically, they're aware of the person, right? But a good number of the times as well, knew is referring to sex, just being blunt and frank. Knew, or to know someone, more specifically as they put it more times than not, to know someone is to have sex with them. So, in other words, again, guys just got there. The two angels, right? But they're appearing as men. So two angels go immediately, they meet Lot. Lot's like, hey, come into my house. They come to the house, he feeds them, they eat before they even get a chance to go to bed. And this happened, as verse 1 put it, at even. Even means at the going down of the sun. So even when they got there, the sun was going down. It was entering into the evening. It was entering into night time. So it's not even as though it's been multiple hours since they've even got there. Like that, where it's that long of a time. Where it's been, you could say, 8 hours. That's not even very likely. So it hasn't been that long since they even got into Sodom, right? But within that time, all of the men of Sodom have gathered together and are beating down Lot's door, saying, hey, those two dudes who showed up here, hey, bring them to us so we can have sex with them. Essentially, so we can rape them. Those two dudes who just came into the city of 2-3 hours ago. Lot, I know they're in your house. All of us together, the entire city, bring them out here. We all want to rape them. That when the Lord says Sodom and Gomorrah was wicked, this is the perfect example of it. Because even today, I purely cannot imagine half of the dudes of a city getting together to even go fight someone, let alone to just go rape two people that they saw enter the city 2 hours ago. So this is a perfect representation of how wicked Sodom was. Just a giant group of men saw two dudes, literally the entire city is worth of men, essentially, and they all just want to go rape two dudes. And they're beating down a dude's house. And we'll keep going. Verse 6. And Lot went out the door unto them and shut the door after him. So he's gone outside. He shut the door behind him. Because again, this is an entire crowd of people. So he's being cautious. Verse 7. He said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wicked. He's like, don't do this. He's like, guys, don't do this. Verse 8, behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. So again, not known man, so meaning that they haven't had sex, which they're virgins. So I have 2 virgin daughters, right? Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Here we have Lot. I choose to view this as, essentially, I'll just say what's happening. What's happening here is Lot is saying, hey, this is what you guys are saying is crazy. Hey, I have 2 virgin daughters. I will give them to you and you can do whatever you want. Just don't try and grab these men and rape these men. Now, the way I look at this is that Lot, I truly do not believe Lot would have actually given them his daughters. I'm gonna be honest. I really do not believe that he was actually going to do it. I think it was a matter of hyperbole. Of that, I would rather you guys take my have my daughters than for you guys to genuinely come in and break in my house and I have these two guests and you come and grab them and rape them. Again, I truly do not believe Lot. If I was in his position, I don't believe I would have. I'm gonna say I believe. I definitely would not have even made the offer. But I truly do not believe Lot would have actually gone through with it. But it's still to the point, I think it also, again, still speaks to the wickedness that Sodom was on. To the point that this is even something that Lot would say. You know what I mean? That Lot would say this in order to avoid what was happening. Which again, like I said, it's just such a ridiculous situation. But still to this point, we'll keep going. Just see how wicked Sodom was. Verse 9. And they said, stand back. And they said, again, this one fellow came in sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. So now they're really saying to Lot, hey, who are you trying to be a judge between yourself? We ain't trying to get to them, but now we're going to do you worse than we're going to do them. So now they're basically threatening that they're going to rape Lot. Crazy situation. A crazy statement to make. But again, this is just the pure wickedness of what was when the Lord said, hey, I hear it's crazy wicked down there. I'm gonna send some people, I'm gonna check up on it. This is why. This is the crazy stuff that was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, apparently. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So now they're almost trying to break his door down. But the men put forth their hand, the men being the angels, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. So they pulled him in and they shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great. So they blinded all the people out there, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. So now they're getting ready to get out of Dodge. So they're hey, the angels are telling them, hey, whatever you have in this city, daughters-in-law, sons-in-law, sons, whatever, get them, we need to go. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord. And the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. So they're this place is wicked. Get all, whoever you have, get them out of there. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, so now he's trying to go to his sons-in-law, who married his other daughters, and he's trying to get them to leave with him, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. So they did believe him. And when the morning arose, and the angels hasted Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here. So his other daughters were still with their husbands, they're his sons-in-law. But he's hey, the morning arose, and they're hey, who the people you have here, your wife and the two daughters that are here, get them, but you gotta get out. Take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto them, and they brought him forth, and set him without the city. So the angels just brought Lot outside of the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou on the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. So he said, run away, run to the mountains, don't even look back. And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? So he's like, wait, no, I can't go to the mountain. If I go to the mountain and some evil meets me, what if I go up and there's a mountain lion, and it kills me? There's a city over there. Can you please let me go to the city? And he said to him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither. So he's saying, okay, fine, I won't blow up that city over there. It's a different place. So he's like, okay, go run over there. For I cannot do anything till thou become thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. So he's like, hey, essentially, get out of town, get out of Sodom, because until you are gone, I cannot destroy this place. Which even going back, remember, all it took was 10 righteous people to be in that city. That's all it took. And the Lord wouldn't have destroyed any of it. But the Lord couldn't even find those 10. Really, we don't even know whether Lot's daughters or even Lot's wife herself was considered. We don't know if the number was 4, with Lot and his daughters, or even the other daughters who, I guess, stayed. If it was 6, we don't know. It could have just been Lot alone himself, and the only reason his other daughters, his 2 daughters who were there, and his wife survived, were because they were there when he fled, and he brought them with him. We really don't know, but also the point that that's also what you have to say was the Lord genuinely couldn't find 10, but the Lord's saying, I can't destroy it until you're gone, because you're righteous. I'm trying to kill all these sinners, the wicked over here. 23. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah a brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Remember, they said not to look back. So, and when the Lord destroyed it all, Lot's wife did, and she got turned into a pillar of salt. Now, why she did that, I can't say. It may be because her daughters were still there, and maybe being a mom, she was concerned. But again, the point being, why it even goes back to Proverbs 5. The Lord given a commandment, right? The Lord set instruction, and whatever reason being, she turned herself away from following that instruction, and now it's her punishment, right? Whether you want to call that an example of what the strange woman metaphor could be, whether that her care for children caused her to this or whatever. We don't really know the reasoning, but still to the point, it's a perfect example of that. The Lord gave the commandment, she didn't obey, she looked back, she was turned into a pillar of salt. Verse 27. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Abraham seeing that Sodom and Gomorrah has been destroyed. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains. So eventually Lot left the Mount Zoar and went into the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in the cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, but there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us, after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. So, after leaving Zoar, going to the mountaintops, the daughters were concerned that the firstborn talked to the younger, hey, our father is old, and there's not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. And they're like, hey, there are no dues. So, because remember, it's even Lot put earlier, these were his 2 virgin daughters, but the oldest was like, hey, there is no man of the earth here to go into us. And again, go into, meaning to have sex with us. So, she says, hey, let's get our father drunk, and then sleep with him, that we may preserve seed of our Father, so that our Father may, have kids through us. Which is insane. But, let's go ahead and read 33. And when they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when he lay down, when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose, and they followed through with it. All this got the father drunk. He he says, he didn't know. So he was essentially date raped. They date raped their father, got him drunk. Eldest slept with him the next day. They did the same thing, and the youngest slept with her father. Yeah. And again, it says he didn't know when she lay down, nor when she arose. So again, he had no idea what was happening. Verse 36. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. Which again, even very clearly, we see this in Exodus. In Leviticus and in the law, it's not cool. This is not even, it's just plainly not cool. Again, not in the fault of Lot. This is not Lot's fault, what happened here, very clearly. But still, very not okay thing that happened here. But, verse 37, And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab, and the same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. So she had a kid, the father of the Moabites, and we even get to see them a lot later on, especially in, again, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Joshua, because they were some of the people who started living and inhabiting these parts of the land. Verse 38, And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of children of Ammon unto this day. And Ammon is the same. The Moabites and the Ammonites, they lived very close together. And they were really a lot of the time, they were mentioned sort of in the same breath. And they were both children of Lot, and like I said, they sort of later inhabited larger bits of the land of Canaan that eventually the Israelites started to take over. But still, from here, this is, we get the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This is a very important chapter when you look at some of the things that are talked about, especially even in the New Testament. Because the New Testament at times will talk about how it will be better for Sodom and Gomorrah than for certain people. And that how in the last days it will be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is just one of the examples of something that was going on there. We don't know all of the things. This is just the first thing we see upon essentially entering the city. And it was the entire city trying to rape two dudes. And then getting mad and then also trying to rape a third, being Lot. Or saying that they would. Which, not that much of a difference. But still, to the point, it shows that when the Lord is really saying those things in the New Testament, He means it. The world is just going to get more and more and more and more and more wicked. I wouldn't say the world is in a place right now where this is considered normal. Definitely isn't. But the world is only going to get worse and worse. And there are certain behaviors the Lord very clearly points out that hey, it will be worse for these people than for Sodom and Gomorrah. Because, as the Lord puts it, they didn't even really know. He said, hey, if these things I told you were told to them, hey, they probably would have repented. But you were told and you didn't obey. Even going back to the Proverbs 5. That, hey, you're given instruction, but you don't listen to it. But also back to the point, this is a very prominent part of the Bible. Because it gets quoted a lot more. Because it's seen as a large peak of just the wickedness of something that can happen. Because, hey, it's a crazy situation to even think about happening, even now. But still to the point, so Lot now lives in the mountains with his daughters and his grandson's sons. And now we go back to Abraham. And Abraham eventually... we'll just start with Genesis 20, verse 1. I won't spoil it. Genesis 20 and verse 1. Then Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. So the same thing that happened, if you remember, a few chapters back with the king of Egypt. There was a famine in the land, and Abraham went to Egypt, and he said, hey, this is because he was afraid, because as he put, Sarah was so fair, he thought that the people were going to kill him in order to be able to take Sarah to be their wife. So he did the same thing, said, hey, she's my sister. The Pharaoh there tried to wife her up, but the Lord cursed them because hey, I don't get down with adultery. And so the Pharaoh kicked him out. So now it's the same thing. Abraham has gone down to Gerar. Abimelech, the king of Gerar, he said the same thing once again, saying, hey, Sarah is my sister, she's not my wife. Hey, that's my sister. So again, Abimelech's doing the same thing. He's like, oh, well, she's pretty. At this point, she's 89, 90. So Sarah apparently had it going on. She looked very nice, even at 90. So Abimelech tried to take her to be his wife. Verse 3. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. So the Lord sees Abimelech in a dream. He's like, hey, you're basically a dead man, because what do you think you're doing? Almost trying to get with a man's wife. Again, the Lord doesn't get down with adultery. But obviously Abimelech didn't know. Verse 4. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? So he's like, hey, I ain't do nothing. And he's like, I haven't gone into her. I haven't done anything, Lord. Will you kill a righteous nation? I haven't done anything. Verse 5. Said he not unto me, she is my sister? And even she herself said, he is my brother. He's like, well, that's what they told me. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hand have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. He said, and hey, I knew that you in the integrity of your heart, you didn't know anything. You've really done no wrong here. You haven't done anything yet. And even in what you were planning to do, I guess, in your mind, you genuinely didn't know that was a man's wife. So he said, that's why I've revealed this to you. I've come to you in this dream to tell you, because I know you're not trying to sin. So I'm trying to stop you from doing anything before or you cross that line. Verse 7. Now therefore restore the man's wife. So he's like, so just give her back. For he is a prophet. And he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. So he said, now you know. So if you don't give her back, then I'm going to kill you, because now you know. 8. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their hearts, and the men were sore afraid. So now he's told everyone, and they're scared, because they're like, oh shoot, God's going to kill us. Because we get to verse 9. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said to him, What hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee? That thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin. Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? So he's just like, hey, dude, why are you setting me up for the okie doke? Why are you trying to get me destroyed? What I do? What happened? 11. And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place. for they will slay me for my wife's sake. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know you guys served the Lord here. I thought you guys may try to kill me so you could have my wife for your own. I'm sorry, I didn't know, like, you guys were serving the Lord here. Like, you guys cared. I didn't know that. 12. And yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So even to the point, like, hey, she's like, well, hey, she actually is my sister. She's like my half sister. My father had her with like another woman. So like we have different moms. But like, hey, she is my sister. I just also married her. Verse 13. So he's like, I didn't technically lie, I just omitted the truth. 13. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. So she's like, because he's trying to, in his mind, avoid being killed. Like as he put before in verse 11. Verse 14. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants and gave them unto Abraham and restored him Sarah's wife. And so Abimelech gave him a bunch of gifts and gave Sarah back. And Abimelech said, behold, my lands before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. So Abimelech was like, hey, dude, stay here wherever you want. Because even Abimelech was told by the Lord that Abraham was a prophet and that his prayer would be a blessing to Abimelech. So Abimelech's like now sort of like playing along, like catering to Abraham. So he's giving him stuff. He's like, hey, wherever you want to stay there. 16. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee. And with all other, thus she was reproved. So he said, hey, stay with your mans over there. And then gave him a bunch of stuff. Hey, stay over there with your mans. 17. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservant, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wounds of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So the Lord healed Abimelech and his entire household because of Abraham's prayer. And apparently he had closed the wounds of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah. So they weren't able to have children. Which is like insane. Again, even like poor Abimelech, he's like, "Hey, dude, like, why have you done this to me? I did not know." But yeah. But even here, this chapter also even goes to play like showing like Abraham had a lot of purpose with the Lord, because even like he said, like Abraham's prayer is what got him like not even that the Lord called him directly a prophet, right? Because the Lord, and we've seen this in many past chapters of Genesis, and we'll even continue to see it a lot more. The Lord tells so many things of like future prophecy, not even just like a few thousand years forward of Abraham's time, but even like several more. And he like just tells all this to Abraham. So Abraham truly was a prophet, and that the Lord was telling him so many things that would eventually happen. And just telling him his word and giving him his covenant in general. So there's a lot of he's the father of our faith, right? So there's a lot of stake that was put onto Abraham himself. But if we didn't have Abraham, so many things would be completely different with the world in general. But all that being said, now we can just go ahead and move on to chapter 21. Alright. Genesis 21 and verse 1. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him Isaac. So now Isaac has been born. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, it may say, but he's a bit older, around what we call a teenager now, right? Yeah, like around that age. And he's mocking his brother Isaac. Right? 10. Wherefore she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. So now Sarah is upset. Like, hey, kick these folk out. Hagar, get her out of here and her son, because I will not have her be heir with my son, with Isaac. And we'll even see like sort of how this plays out before I really get into like the nitty-gritty of it. Verse 11. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And Abraham's like, man, I don't want to kick out my son Ishmael. Like, that's also my son. Like, what? I don't want to do that. 12. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. So he's like, hey, like, don't stress out about it. Don't be sad about it, Abraham. And all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So he said, like, hey, what Sarah's saying, listen to her. Go do that. Like, hey, get them out of here, because Sarah is right. And that's the sad thing about sort of the situation in general with Hagar and Ishmael. Ishmael, really, with the promise of the Lord in the covenant, was never supposed to be born. Ishmael was not part of the covenant. Isaac was, as the Lord puts it here, and Isaac shall thy seed be called. And even as Sarah puts it, I will not have him be heir with my son. Isaac was supposed to be the heir. When the Lord talks to Abraham about through your seed, the world will be blessed. I will multiply thy seed after thee, after to be as numerous as the stars, and so on and so forth. What he's really talking about was not Ishmael at all. It was Isaac. It was always supposed to be Isaac. But because Sarah lacked faith and told Abraham to go sleep with Hagar, and Abraham listened, because them thinking, especially Sarah, that she couldn't have kids in her old age, Ishmael was born. That's how Ishmael came about. Ishmael came about because they lacked faith in what God's plan was. They didn't believe it. So they had Ishmael. But Ishmael, again, was never part of the plan. He's not a part of the covenant that the Lord set up. He's not the heir. He's not the person in which the seed is called. Which is why the situation is kind of sad, and why the Lord says what he says. Because, like, she's not wrong, Abraham. Ishmael does need to leave because he is not the heir. He is not the person who's going to inherit the land I'm trying to give you. He's not the person I have plans for through his seed and through his like generations after him. He's just not the God. You just had another son. But that's not who this is for. So the Lord's saying, hey, you're going to have to kick him out. Verse 13. And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he's thy seed. So he's saying, but hey, I will make him great. I will make a nation of and you see the Ishmaelites, the descendants of Ishmael, you see them throughout the Bible as well. And they were very big. And even you can say that the descendants of the Ishmaelites even still do live in the land generally around the land of Israel, if not in it. But still, the point is like, hey, because he is your son, right? He is thy seed. He did come from your loins, so I'll make him great. But just he's not the one through which your seed will be called. Like, he's not the son I was referring to. When I say your son, I'm not talking about him. But I will make him great because he's your seed. But that's just not. It's just not him. 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. So they've been kicked out, and they're wandering in the wilderness. And the water was spent in the bottle, so they run out of water. And she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot, for she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him, and lifted up her voice and wept. So, basically, they've run out of water. So she's hid her son among the bushes, and she's basically walked away and turned herself away because she's thinking my son's going to die of thirst, and I don't want to see him die. So she's straight, just like really sad, just turned herself away and just like looking away from where she's hidden her son in the bushes. And she's crying and wept. Verse 17, and God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. So you can say, hey, I heard the cries of the lad, I heard what's going on. Like, hey, like, don't worry, I'm going to, like, the Lord did promise and tell Abraham, I'm going to make a great nation out of him too. So he said, go, lift up the lad. 19. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and went and filled the bowl with water, and gave the lad to drink. And now she's got water for her son. And God was with the lad, and he grew, and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass, as at that time, that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, came unto Abraham. So now, like, we've cut back to Ishmael is doing well for himself. He's married an Egyptian. We cut back to Abraham, and Abimelech, remember the king of Gerar, has come to Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear it to me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's sons, but according to the kindness that I have done to thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. So he's like, hey, promise me like you nor your son, like you will continue to do well with me, and I will like continue to do well with you. That like we're not like you're not gonna like betray me or back to like with you having lived in my land, essentially. 24. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servant had finally taken away. So they got into a fight over a well a little bit. And Abimelech said, I wot not who hath done this thing, neither dost thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. Then Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast by themselves? And he said, For these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I dig this well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And again, like the Philistines said, children of Ham. But verse 33, and Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the land of Philistine, sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. So even here we have just Abraham setting up life, and what is from this point on is called Beersheba, because it's named after the well, which they made a covenant that like, hey, we're not going to fight about things. We're just gonna we're gonna dwell together, so on and so forth. We're gonna dwell peacefully, so on and so forth. And Beersheba is, I believe it's even still called Beersheba to this day, but it's referred to it's a very prominent place in the Bible in terms of the land of Israel as well. But here we just have Abraham settling down a bit in the land of the Philistines. But with that, we can go ahead and move on to chapter 22. 22 and verse 1. It came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham, and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. He said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah. Here is the same sort of thing. Ishmael isn't considered part of what the Lord... So Ishmael is literally, physically, Abraham's son. But he's not his son. He's not his son for what the Lord has planned. He's not the son of the promise. He's not, he should not have, as the Lord planned, should not have had Ishmael. He was supposed to have Isaac. He was not supposed to have Ishmael. So he's saying his son, so even when he says here, take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, he's like, we're not talking about Ishmael, this is Isaac. Your only son Isaac. He is your son. Not even that other one. He is your son. Right? He is the son of the promise. He is your son. right? Whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I tell thee of. So here the Lord, we have the Lord, which we'll eventually find out, like testing Abraham's faith. We even see that in Hebrews. It says that, like, Abraham, knowing that the Lord will have to do something with the lad, that, like, well, whether he kills him and the Lord brings him back, or the Lord stops him, he knew that the Lord, he had faith that the Lord said all this would happen through Isaac, therefore Isaac had to be alive. So he knew that, like, whatever happened, he had faith that, like, the Lord would keep his end of the bargain. But still, to the point, here we have the Lord sort of testing him, telling him to go up to the mountain and sacrifice his son Isaac. Verse 3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went to the place of which God had told him. Then, on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder, and worship, and come again to you. Again, like, even here, like, it's displaying, Abraham is not even really lying here. It's like he's not lying here. Because he believes that, again, like we see that in Hebrews 11, he believes Isaac is going to come back down from that mountain, whether he kills him and the Lord raises him back or whatever. He believes, like, Isaac has to be alive, because Isaac, like, through him, Isaac is a young boy at this point. Isaac doesn't have kids. So, like, and I know my seed's supposed to become through Isaac. The Lord's made that very clear. So, Isaac has to live through this one way or another. Right? So he truly believes that Isaac is going to be coming back down off that mountain alive. But verse 6, And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went, both of them, together. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. So Abraham came ready to sacrifice him. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. He said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing that thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. So again, a test from the Lord. Like, hey, stop them saying, like, hey, now I know that, like, hey, you, like, I know of your faith. I know you will, like, do anything. And, like, you won't even withhold your son from me. You're, like, as he again puts it, your only son, because he's the son of promise. He's the son of you. So here's really the only son you're supposed to have. He's the son of the promise. Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. So even what Abraham said would happen, happened. The Lord gave her a replacement, gave something from an actual sacrifice. There was just a ram there. 14. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah-Jireh, as it is said to this day, In the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven. So he's like, because you have done this thing, you've done this, like, ultimate show of your faith. It's like, yeah, I will, like, definitively, I will do this thing. Because up to this point, he's like, hey, if you listen, you follow me, I will do this thing. But now he's saying, you followed me, you've done the things I told you, so now, absolutely, I will do this thing for you. I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Even there referring to Christ, because Christ came through this lineage. Because thou hast obeyed my voice. So the Lord's confirming his coming, like, hey, I said I would do this thing, and you followed me every step of the way, so, like, I'm going to do it. It is going to be done. It's not even like, I said, if you obey, you do this thing, you obey. Now I'm going to give it to you. Jacob's first two wives as well. Hud, verse 21. Hud is his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel, and Bethuel begat Rebekah, which we'll read the next chapter eventually. No, it's not the next chapter, but we'll eventually see becomes Isaac's wife, and Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah. She bare also Tebah, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Maacah. Great. With that said, like the Abraham was passed again, like the ultimate show, the ultimate test of faith, and the covenant has been confirmed with him. And this is even something that we'll see even sort of happens with Isaac, and then that gets passed further eventually to his son that is chosen, Jacob, who gets renamed to Israel. But still to the point, Genesis 23, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. And Sarah was 107 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. So Sarah's died. And Abraham stood up from before his dead, and spake unto the sons of Het, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Het answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear, my lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. So, like, the children of Het, the people who like around where, again, Abraham is, he needs to bury Sarah. So he's like, hey, tell me, like, what lots, what places in which can I bury my wife? Like where and how much? And they're like, hey, dude, you're a great person amongst us. You're a great friend. You do so much. You help us out, so on and so forth. Pick whatever lot you want, and you will have it for free. Just whatever lot you want to bury your wife in, just take it. Right? Verse 7. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Het. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for possession of a burying place amongst you. So it's like, if you go that far, hey, talk to this dude, tell him I want this place here, and whatever he whatever he's trying to charge, whatever he deems that worth, like that burying place, that cave worth to charge, hey, I will, let me know, I will pay that. Right? For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for possession of a burying place amongst you. So, whatever he deems it worth, I'll pay. Verse 10. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Het. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Het, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. So he's like, hey, dude, don't even worry about it. I will give you the field that the cave is on, and the cave. So, I will give you I'll give you the burying lot as well as all the land surrounding it. I'll just take it, go, bury thy dead. It's like, hey, your wife died. You're a good dude. Just take it. So they're basically just trying to be more honorable to each other. We'll give you, hey, dude, just whatever you're willing to give me. Where everything is a good spot to bury my wife, hey, tell me, and I'll go bury her there. It's like, oh, well, no, dude, just take a spot for free. It's like, well, okay, I want this spot here. Let the guy, whatever he wants me to pay, I'll pay it. And the guy's like, no, dude, just take it for free. So they're just, continually just, being honorable to each other. Verse 14. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. So he's like, hey, it's like 400, it's worth 400 shekels of silver, but like that's between me and you, like we're pals, we're friends, like that means nothing. Like you don't need to pay that to me. 16. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the eyes of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. But Abraham still gave him the 400 shekels of silver. In the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth. Before all that went in at the gate of his city, and after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the place. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for possession of the burying place by the sons of Heth. So now even chapter 23, I personally really like this chapter simply because it shows what kind of man Abraham was in a lot of ways, and it can even be inspiration for us for how we should be as well. And just how honorable he was. He was like, hey, he was humble. But however much you would like me to pay in whatever place you would like you would be willing to give me, I would gladly take. Even when they made the offer, he was like, oh, okay, if you're willing to give me whatever, like, hey, I would like this place. Tell him whatever he deems it worth, whatever he wants me to pay, I'll pay that. And then even when the guy directly told him, like, hey, we're pals, we're friends, I don't need you to pay for it, he still paid for it. So it's like just that sense of like honorableness and like integrity, where I still need to do right. Or even, he would have been wrong, I'm not saying at all, he would have been wrong if he took them up on their offer. But still, him and his integrity is like where I can't take advantage of your kindness, or not even necessarily take advantage of your kindness, but still, I should do what I should hold myself to, paying my debts, to where I should still pay for it. I have the 400 silver, I should still pay you the 400 silver. Even if what you say is true, it's nothing betwixt us, I should still give it. Because it's just a matter of principle. So I always look at these examples of what people do in the Bible, especially Abraham here. And it's just like a good example of how we can live and how we should be oftentimes in life as well. But with that, I think here 23 is a good place to stop, because once we get into 24, we'll pick up with Isaac being grown up. We'll see Isaac get married, and from there we'll move very quickly into from Isaac into Jacob. So I believe this is a good stopping point for today. So today we read essentially a lot of just what would the covenant of Abraham. That was what a large portion of really what we read today was about. Really, especially chapter 17. Where we ended last time, going into it as well. Isaac being the person through which his seed is called. The covenant being confirmed through Abraham being willing to sacrifice his son with the faith that the Lord is still going to honor his covenant. As we know, through Hebrews 11, where we see in the chapter that he says, hey, me and my son are going to be coming back down this mountain. Where he did truly believe that however it's going to happen, Isaac was going to make it out of the situation alive because he believed in the Lord. Because that's who Abraham was. He's the father of our faith. He was a very, very faithful man. And then we get to see, again, we get to see Sodom and Gomorrah. We get to see what happens with Lot. Again, Sodom and Gomorrah is very important because, the world's only going to, as the book puts it, the world's only going to get worse and worse until it's the entire world is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's a pure example of just how wicked it truly was during that time. As well as the example with Lot's wife, where no matter really how small, as the New Testament puts it, essentially, whether you are an adulterer, whether you are a murderer, whether you are a liar, all of them are breakers of the law. If you break one tittle of the law, you break the whole thing. Or even as like Jesus puts it, one tittle shall not pass of the law until all be fulfilled. To the point that no matter what the Lord commands you, and that even goes back to Proverbs 5, you have to do it. It is His commandment, and it is our wisdom, it's our instruction, and therefore we should do it. And because the consequences are essentially laid outright of what will happen. For Lot's wife, she got turned into a pillar of salt. But for us, the destruction is a lot more hefty, and that being the lake of fire. Eternal damnation. So that being said, we got some very good reading done today. Again, look forward to next time. Thank you very much for joining me today. Always remember, study to show yourself approved. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Always remember, charity is the bond of perfectness. We should all always be doing our best to act in love to one another, even if at times it can be difficult and people aren't necessarily, who we show love to isn't necessarily showing love to us. Because really at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Christ showed love to everyone by dying for us. So we should be capable of doing the same. But always read your word, read it for yourself, and continue to remain diligent and walk circumspectly. Again, all that being said, thank you all once again, and I wish you have a wonderful night.